say that autism causes behavior problems is just a silly kind of talking. But it's a silly kind of talking that we talk about all the time. Even my colleagues, frequently they say, well, autism affects this kind of chemistry or this kind of behavior or these kinds of symptoms. But it's not a cause. It's not an agency in nature. The terminology of diagnosis is only important for research, where you need to define a group of people who all have the same thing. So if you give this group and that group, different treatments, and you try to measure them and make statistics, you don't run into apples and oranges. But for the purpose of detective work, for the purpose of enriching a narrative and a dialogue, you really need to have good, detailed information that is accurate and structured, and as I say, detailed. Those are the three criteria. And then when you want to do that, and you want to use a computer to do it, because that's what we use, you have to realize, well, what do computers like? They like rows and columns. They don't want a paragraph. It's really, a lot of effort has been spent teaching computers to read paragraphs, and it's a waste of time. What you have to do is put the information into the rows and columns at the first moment they enter the system. And I spent a long time doing that. In my practice, I started with a piece of graph paper and a pencil and an eraser. The eraser was the most important part of the technology. But I tried to figure out, all right, when somebody tells me they have a headache, what is that in rows and columns? Well, it's an intersection of pain and head, right? You have pain in this column and head in this column. And you expand on that over a few thousand patients and several pages of graph paper, and you get a multidimensional matrix that encodes the location of the symptom and when it started and how long it lasts and how severe it is. And the aggravating, alleviating factors, pretty soon you have a pretty good garden to weed. And then you get the weeds out and you try to see which are the things that grow in this data that are most informative about something that most people are interested in, which is, where's another kid like mine? If you have all these granular data, then it's not just, well, where's an autistic kid? Because we know that we can recognize, after you've spent 3 days in the developmental doctor's office, you have 10 pages of very closely worded prose about all the bad things wrong with this child, usually not much about his strengths, which are the most important things really for healing. But you get all this data together, and then they say, well, your child's autistic. And that's it. And then you go to the airport, and 100 feet away you see another kid, and you say, that's an autistic kid over there, right? Didn't need 3 weeks of testing for that. It's recognizable. But then you go to the school with the other kids, and you say, well, I don't see any kid who's really just like mine. They're all autistic, but I want to see another one like mine, and I want to know what have they been doing that either worked or didn't work. Or if they see your child, and they say, your kid's exactly the way Peter used to be, but Peter's all better now. You better go and find out what the hell they did with Peter, because that's the most important question. So how can you do this in a way that is valid, that beats a cocktail party for finding somebody else who has another kid like yours? And I've been working on this for 40 years. Now, recently we've come up with something that is pretty good, which is called Medigenesis. And we've recently gotten some funding from the foundations to make it available to the whole world of autism. Anybody who has an autistic kid can get on here and do the thing. And by the time you see this, it should be working. And it will provide a way to get a record that you can get with all the details of your